Hello, welcome to this video where I'm going to look at the driving theory test. This is the official DVSA app. So this is all the questions that are actually in the pool of questions. So I'm just going to go through a bunch of questions and hopefully I'll get most of them right. If you're good at this, you can always tell me the ones I got wrong. So that looks like tinted. This one has got many different variations. Like, you just make sure you read the answers properly. So this one, for instance, is that. Obviously, that's not a good thing, though. In ones like this, why should you keep well back? With a large vehicle, obviously the vehicle is going to obstruct the view of the road. So what I tend to do with this is just look at, just as long as you see the answer, to try not to think about the other ones if you know what the other ones are. Right, what should you do immediately after joining a motorway? So it's going to be, you're going to stay in the left-hand lane from the slip road, right? Normally, some of these just very kind of common sense answers, I guess. And this is to do, I believe, I mean, literally, I haven't seen all these questions. There are a lot of questions, even though I've done this test a lot of times. But from what I know, I believe that it's going to be easier for them to find you because they're the phones, they're all like positioned. They can find that. And again, most of the time, the answer is always if there's a problem on the motorway, you need to just go to the emergency telephone. This is referencing like Pass Plus or something like that, I think. This is going to be some sort of water hazard, so you might want to test your brakes after that. So this one, it's like this answer is kind of true, but it's mainly for this, right? This is the actual. You always have to think like, what is the entire scope of the question? Um, I think if it's an emergency, like I haven't seen this question. I think in emergency we want to go firmly, right? I mean, if it's an emergency, you probably go rapidly, right? That would make the most sense. It's going to take longer to overtake. Try and go a bit quickly. Keep the revs low. So this one, you need to really give way to bicycles here. There is no give way sign here though, so I guess you just have to guess this one. Actually, it's buses, I think, this one. The thing about, well, the bus is not going to get through there. This is difficult because the thing is, there's a question where most likely you have to be careful. If this is a one-way road, you have to be careful of a large vehicle coming through the center of the road. Most of the time, the problem is that all of them are really correct, right? But the thing with bicycles is that it's probably the answer. That's going to be that one. That's going to be this. I think the engine will work harder. That seems to be the most likely one. So you've got priority over the vehicles. And again, that's referencing the Pass Plus. So this is mandatory instructions, right? And out of these ones, it'll be a motorcyclist. You want to gain speed on the hard shoulder before moving out. Similar, it's actually similar to parking when you think about it. Um, in general, with parked vehicles, you've got to be careful with pedestrians. Yeah, I mean that seems to make sense, right? Again, it's a question with like it's kind of interesting. This is like what the motorcycle rider might do, whereas it's like it's there. It's that you can't really assume their behavior. So that's you sort of have to look at it. There's a lot of questions that are similar to that. So the pathing crossing is I think they must have a I think it's called piezoelectric sensitivity. So it would be something like that. There's actually a sensor on the side of the crossing which maybe says when they clear the crossing. I'm not sure like how it actually works, but I'm pretty sure that's the answer anyway. So this white line, it's kind of like a little bit misleading because you have the hazard bit there as well. Um, but so technically, if we refer to this bit, it would be the hazard, but it does mean you have to look at the most sort of the biggest scope of the question. I think you just need to go just above the cell plates with that. That's sort of one like there's certain questions you just have to know the answer, right? That's a lane. Normally that's for uphill, right? So the heavier vehicles are going to have to go in this lane here. Okay. That's an interesting one, actually. I think it's probably slow down. Yeah, slow down seems like the best option, right? Yeah. Often this is the answer as well. There's other questions that we'll probably get to. Like most of the time, bad things with your car will cause problems for other road users. No one has priority in this situation. Double bend is this one. Why should you keep a safe distance behind it? And the answer to that is this. Because basically, if you're too close to a large vehicle, they can't see you in their mirrors. So that is a problem. In this one is one which is also quite confusing. But basically, always you have to see in this situation, you always have to look at the positive answer, which is that, right? Um, I mean, it does because the problem is right is that this traffic in the right lane should stop is actually an answer as well, but it's wrong. So you just have to know stuff like that. The problem is that it could be either of these two because it's not saying it's congestion. Because if congestion is just a regular thing there, obviously with an incident you would always go for hazard. Probably the answer is hazard here. But the fact it says incident, hazard warning lines can't warn you of an incident. That's the only reason I think that it could be that one. It's sometimes the wording is very difficult to guess. So would be a good place. But the dog that's a yellow. So normally it's just a deaf person, right? Okay. And generally, again, it's just like this is always this is often the answer. Give them plenty of room. Basically, anything which is like an animal, this is what you do. I haven't seen this one ever. That's the thing. You just see stuff that you've never seen before. It's because I've done so many of these, I guess. I mean, that's what it looks like, right? So I guess that maybe that comes from. This is Laurie, right? Same picture as we had in the earlier one. We shouldn't have your sunglasses on. I guess you might have your sunglasses on. Well, it's difficult because you're not really. I suppose you sunglasses at night is more of a problem. But certainly you don't want to be wearing sunglasses in a tunnel. The sunroof. Is there extra debris in a tunnel? There might be, right? The radio won't make any difference. I'm going to go with that. No, what is the answer to that? I think probably slow down. I think pull down your sun visor looks like a good idea. Well, not at night time. When would you do that? I think in general, often, if in doubt, just say slow down. So these lines in the center of the road, they're hazard lines, right? I could play the clip, but it's not really worth it. Stuff like this is kind of obvious. And the problem with it, and the one thing about this app is there's only about 7 of these, so I know all the answers to these ones. Let's see how we did. Pretty good. Let's see what we got wrong. So again, I mean, I've passed it, so I don't really need to. Okay. It was buses. You see, you remember I did have a. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. So I think with this one, the answer is always bus then. Not to worry. Yeah, but that was one that obviously I kind of covered that one. I just like that question is always a bit interesting. And this one, it was the message signs. Okay, I was thinking maybe the hazard lights. So pretty good though.